Hello, my fellow extraordinary Americans. My name is Cosmos Dar, and this is Extraordinary America. What is Extraordinary America? Well, you see, America has always been about freedom, opportunity, and the pursuit of happiness. However, most Americans are not free when it comes to the financial front. Most Americans are suffering from financial slavery due to loss of jobs, stagnant wages, inflation, and debt. Wealth and income inequality is the norm now, and the middle class has all but disappeared. So Extraordinary America is about the abolition of financial slavery. It is about the financial freedom of the 99%. It is about the nation of immigrants and the descendant of immigrants restoring the extraordinary within themselves and setting themselves free. The path to financial freedom is through financial education. It is through becoming entrepreneurs and investors on the light side. In this podcast, I interview fellow Americans who fought against the odds. Many of them came from humble beginnings to see how they did it. It is my hope through these interviews that the extraordinary within you shall awaken and that you will abolish financial slavery from your life and realize the American dream. Once again, welcome to Extraordinary America. Welcome back to the show, my fellow extraordinary Americans. For today, we have a special guest from all the way from Argentina, and her name is Sol Alsina. Sol is the CEO and creative director of Mundo Designs, which is a women-led branding and website design agency. She's also a personal and business coach, TEDx speaker, and a social impact business designer. She's passionate about crafting powerful digital media designs that spark social change for purpose-driven companies and professionals. She is known for her disruptive design methods that blend biomimicry and human-centered design. Soul is committed to helping impact makers shine with a digital presence that is eye-catching and purpose-oriented. She's also created a conscious tech product to measure employee emotions and company culture in real time. Choosing her company means people are reducing the gender gap in technology since Mundo Designs actively trains single mothers, refugee women, and young girls. I'm really excited to have her on this show, and I'm really grateful. Sol, are you there?
Oh, yes, I'm right here, fully present with you. Hello, everybody. Thank
So
you for having me.
I'm really excited to have you on this show, and it's really an honor to have you and all of that. And so basically, what I wanted to know is, I know that you're an entrepreneur, you're the CEO of your company, and you're into website design and also personal development and business coaching. Can you tell me and the audience a little bit more about you, your background, and how you got started?
Yes, I think that's a very good question already. Questions really open doors, and I'm ready to open mine to the people. So,
Awesome.
let's see. I started, my first interest, right? It was actually international relations. That's what I studied. That's my master. Uh, but one day, after my dad died, I decided to follow my pain, and I got a message that it was a beautiful message. I lost my dad, but I gained freedom, right? And I kind of like I was stuck in a job that I didn't like, okay, that it was not aligned with my purpose. So that day I woke up, and it was the message of that pain that got me into the art and design and follow my passion. So that's how I started, personal development and coaching, by following my pain. And then I started my own company with the designs. I wanted to create something that it was not about me, but about others. So I follow my pain and I found my passion. And here we are. That's
So,
pretty much the journey.
so I know like a great tragedy occurred and like you lost your father and like a lot of people when that would happen to them like they never really truly recover from that. Like what made you push past that and then like go and then transform your pain into something that was productive and then helped a lot of people?
Well, let's see, that day that, many people, I'm not sure, but we are taught um, by other generations to avoid pain, right? To kind of like silent pain. And for me, that day that I faced pain, the only way to push through pain, it was by discovering the purpose of it. And I have a beautiful quote that I heard once, and it says, the purpose of your pain is to turn your mess into a message. So that day, I have a twin brother, okay, so we are two. And that day that my dad died, we decided together to embrace pain. And we say, look, we look at each other and we say, what is the message of all of this? What is the message of the lost? Are we missing something? What is it that we need to learn from losing dad all of a sudden? Because my dad was not ill, right? Everything was okay. And that day we decided to sleep with my mom and my brother together in the same bed, to hold hands and to embrace pain together, right? And to discover the message. And you know what happened? Cosmos, the next morning when I woke up, I dreamed that, a Japanese plant was actually just floating from my stomach. So I'm like, Mom, what is this message? I was all happy and feeling very empty at the same time because of the loss. But I was feeling kind of like the light. And I'm like, Mom, what is this? I was running like a little kid and I was actually 30 years old. So I went that morning feeling like a goddess, at the same time feeling very empty. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to follow this message. I'm going to follow the pain and I'm going to find out what is it about. And with my brother, I look up the meaning of that plant, right? It was a glycine plant. It was a Japanese plant. And you know what it meant? It meant succeed in your project and hold strong into life. And that's what I did. That day, I quit my job and I realized that I was kind of like numb, I was feeling that I was just following the tradition, the Italian tradition of just working hard, becoming a lawyer or a diplomat, right? That's why I studied international relations. But that was just my interest. It was not my passion. So that day, I followed my passion.
Wow, that's really interesting the way you put it, you know, like it was it's so what was like that transition point, so like when you decided to do that and like you had this interest, but then from there you went to Mundo Designs eventually, and then from this pain that you suffered, like you went from there and like you ultimately did website designs and everything. What was that transition process, if you could describe to me and the audience a little bit?
Absolutely. I think by following, if you really make a list of your interests, right, first, but your interest is just a child, right? That's what they say. Then you follow your pain, you can discover the passion, which is for you, right? But I felt that something was missing in the passion, because the passion is for you, it's for us, right? It's not for others. And I'm like, what is missing? Well, I was missing the North Star in the process, which is the purpose. The purpose is actually for others, is the adult, is what really makes us jump out of bed when life gets ruthless. So the transition, I got another painful moment. In that painful moment, I discover my purpose. I'm like, something is missing here. And I'm like, what is it? It was my purpose for others. So after another painful moment in my life, I was building Mundo Designs. I was building my consulting firm also at the same time in the business field, kind of like working in coaching and creating better places to work, right? Better environment. But I was kind of like pursuing two dreams at once. And I'm like, this is for me. But what about if I use pain as a platform for greater impact? And I use another painful moment to discover the purpose of my company, which is today, and discover my purpose, the reason why I wake up every morning, which is others, right? So it was painful, and at the same time, I turned into a pearl because I followed that pain. I didn't avoid pain. I really discover the discomfort, the seeds of growth and transformation. So
So it's really interesting that you mentioned this, because I was talking with my friend the other day, and like he's like a really successful businessman, and he's got like a lot of businesses, and he's into the medical field, and he talked about how pain and pleasure, they're like a duality, right? And so literally sometimes life gives you these really painful moments, but it's not for you to suffer, but it's actually a means for growth. And it's only through adversity that we can actually grow and become like who we are meant to be. Because if we didn't have resistance, if we didn't have pain in our life, like that, he basically told me that there is beauty in the pain, like not in like a masochistic way, but like in a way where we learn lessons, and that's the time when we grow into like what we are meant to be ultimately. And we can either be destroyed by it, or we can come out on top, and we can, and on the opposite side, by doing the opposite and like use that to like create more good in the world. So it's really interesting that you mentioning this, because I it reminds me of that conversation I had with him about the law of duality, like of yin and yang. Like wherever there's pain, without pain, you're not going to have like that huge amounts of growth that you otherwise could. Because if you never have resistance in your life, how are you going to become who you're meant to be? You know?
you should say it in a way that is very exquisite because you said, it resonates with me. You said a huge amount of growth. And that's what pain brings us, even when we are entrepreneurs or when we are being, CEOs already and established and leaders, and we figure it out, right? The way we all go through pain. You did, I did, the audience did. And yes, I'm from Argentina. Yes, we are all different, right? But there is one thing that brings us closer and makes us very equal today, which is pain. And I agree with your friend 100, 200%, because again, we have been taught by other generations to avoid pain and to run away from pain. But see, by doing that, we are already missing great possibilities of self-awareness, of, getting new levels of understanding. That's exquisite in life. In order to go to prosperity, if we follow the pain and the message, it's supposed to trigger some sort of action, some sort of transformation. If not, your pain, my pain, the audience pain, where is the justice to that? Let's use pain as a catalyst, right, of growth. So I agree.
So it actually, part of that conversation involved, he mentioned that self-realization comes from the toggling of opposite extremes. So like when you go through these painful experiences, you actually learn and you feel compassion for others. And ultimately that's where path and purpose comes from, is during those moments of like self-evaluation. So the reason I'm like discussing this with you is because a lot of people, like especially in our audience, like they're more likely to avoid pain and suffering. Like they don't want to go that. Like they want to have the good life. But like what me and you are discussing, and what my I discussed with my friend the other day, is that when you go through these like really tough times, that's what builds your character ultimately in the long term, and it gives you the purpose that is necessary to like it literally gives you your calling. Like you build your character ultimately. But I don't know, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, first of all, I couldn't agree more. I mean, I would second that because that's what's exactly happened to me. And I have a global mindset, right? I'm a global citizen, right? I go all over the place and I have seen many different cultures. And I do believe that our culture, more the Occidental one, is used to avoiding pain, right? But I agree because that's how I found my passion, my purpose, prosperity, and an invitation to be kind to myself and to others. I believe the best room, right, and the biggest room, right, in Earth, it's not in, I don't know, in a house. It's actually our self room of improvement. That's the biggest room that we can actually have for self improvement. And pain brings a perspective that pleasure cannot to the table. So that's very interesting.
Yeah, but a lot of people, they know that on logical level, but when it's happening to them, it's really one of like the worst things that could ever happen to them in the moment. Like in the ensuing weeks or months, like you're going through a lot of suffering and like you're like, why is this happening? But all we can only figure that out in retrospect, right? Like after like a year or two, we learn, like we go look back, we're like, man, like that was necessary for me to become who I am today. And a lot of people, they don't want to go through those things, but like ultimately it is a necessary thing. But ultimately it's a perspective. And the reason I bring it up is because in entrepreneurship, there is a lot of pain and suffering. Like there's a lot of moments of self-doubt. But if you can go through that, it ultimately builds your character to a new mindset. But yeah.
Yes, and you said a key word to prosperity, actually, when we are entrepreneurs to keep, moving forward. Quitting is forever, right? But pain is temporary, okay? So I do believe that in our, journey to that prosperity that we all look for, right, every day, I believe pain is there to trigger that action of self-awareness to look, do you want to be comfortable or do you want to grow? Because we can't be both, right? So discomfort is there for us to tell us that here is where some progress are. There is a beautiful quote of Ray Dalio that says, and here is the perspective part of pain. Hey, if you add to the word pain during the entrepreneurial journey, progress, right? Or reflection is actually where progress starts, right? So pain plus um, reflection equals progress. So perspective is very important when we feel pain, Cosmos, because it's based upon on how we feel, right?
No, Sol, I am very grateful that you actually are talking about the subject of pain and like the necessary for growth, because ultimately, like that's what differentiates like the most of the people that are not going to get to the next level versus the one percenters that can actually push through and like basically succeed in whatever they're doing. Like if you look at Olympic athletes and just people that are like the best at what they do, like they're going through a lot of pain, like just through resistance in their body and mindset and growth and all of that. And it's a necessary part. Yeah.
Yeah, it's necessary, and I believe perspective it's a key part of how we look at the pain, right? That's what you said about the athletes. Why some people continue moving forward and some don't? Well, one of the keys is perspective, because at the end of the day, you and me and the audience, we're gonna measure life and how the quality of the day was based upon on how we feel. And how we feel is based upon on how we perceive things. So if you want to change that painful moment, you can actually choose to see a painful moment as a bridge to grow, to learn new skills, to ask yourself, hey, what new insights can I gain from this pain? Boom, you change it already, your perception about pain. So you feel different
Mhm.
about pain.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. But so I wanted to ask you this, like, since you're like a female entrepreneur in Argentina, and
Yes.
like the financial independence for like women has been a thing in America since like the 20th century, right? Like before that, there was not much about it. So from Argentina, like from your as a woman entrepreneur in Argentina, what is it like to be like to look forward to financial independence and helping other women becoming financially independent in the 21st century? Can you tell a little bit more about that from your perspective?
Oh, that's actually just. an amazing, purpose that you mentioned that is aligned with what I'm actually looking for, financial freedom for all of us. First of all, because we still live in a machismo society in Argentina. It's very Italian background as well. And at the same time, I mean, in Latin America. So you can imagine the blend of those two ingredients, right? What is it for us? So that being said, the movement.
Sorry, what is machismo? If you can just tell the audience a little bit more about like a little bit more
Okay,
about the Argentinian culture so that they can get
yeah.
a idea of it.
Machismo means that is male dominant in terms of decisions. Okay, still that means that we still have a gap between women and men in terms of how much men makes and how much a woman makes, and woman should be actually stayed at home. Still, we still have that mentality. I would say in a pretty much 40%, 35% of our population thinks like that, right? That's what a macho is, kind of like a male dominant or predominant thoughts. And we are missing that feminine energy about the process. So that's what machismo means. It means that you do what I said so, right? The guy said to the woman what she needs to do. So we don't get the voice out there.
Okay.
That's what it means. But we are working on that, and see that we are building a movement here that also have, we are kind of like having this feminization, let's put it that way, a new term of guys, because they're having more the feminine energy out there in Argentina too, and that's helping us, become a little bit more free in terms of our opinions and raising our voice and getting paid equally. So that's a huge movement that is happening down here about women.
Yeah. I was asking is because yeah, in the Western world and in Europe, yeah, there has been great strides towards helping women attain financial independence and parity with men. But not a lot of people know much about South America and what is the culture there, and especially not me. So I'm really curious as to know what Argentinian and Brazilian cultures like, and what is the male-female dynamics in South America, if you don't mind sharing a little bit.
No, of course. I think it's a very interesting topic because, by I don't want to say the fighting term, but we have been negotiating with men, okay, and actually we have to prove to them more than you have to prove to them in a position that we can do it, right? And since we became stronger and stronger together, I mean the women, I think we are getting very close to equality here. But see, we have, I will say, 80% European background, all right, in Argentina. That means mainly Italians and Spaniards. So if you already think about Italy, right, and their culture, you can already tell that it's very um, Catholic oriented, right? And many rules and many things that we need to follow, right? But especially women, you need to have children, right? You have to at a certain age, right? But that's no longer happening. My generation of 40, 30 years old is actually breaking that. And it's different now. It's different. Um, we are getting the best out of every culture. Argentina is it's a global mindset culture, I would say. So we are we're getting closer to equality now.
So what was the point, so when you decided that you wanted to help, like what was that one of that was times or moments like where you knew your purpose was to help women become financially independent and help the single mothers and refugee women and young girls? Like what was that moment of time where you're like, I'm going to do this. This is going to be my purpose and calling, no matter what happens.
Well, that calling, it was also by following my pain. I always like to do things unconventionally, right? To find prosperity. And I saw my mother. My mom, she was also an immigrant, an Italian immigrant. And she came to this society where it was pretty much very close in terms of women getting out there in power. She actually was the entrepreneur as well, but it was very tough. I saw her battles, I saw her tears, Cosmos, every day. She used to be a mom with 3 kids, fighting for her position, and very talented woman. And when I saw her crying when I was 12, and that day I found my interest of always wanted to help women because I had a mother that wanted to be a CEO. And she had her company after a couple of years when she was 40, actually, my age. And I saw her building that step by step, tier by tier. And I didn't want it any other woman to be that wounded, neglecting her own needs because um, of that male dominant kind of like mindset that we used to have as a society. Is not happening anymore. At least it's less dominant. So that was the day because of my mom.
No, that's it's a deep reason, and I think a lot of women here, like in America over here, would resonate with what you're saying. And one of the questions I wanted to ask you, Sol, is like, what is in during this entire process where like you became an entrepreneur and all of that, what is the biggest lesson you learned other than the pain factor? Like, what is the biggest lesson you learned in all of this?
Well, let's respect the process of growing first. I believe we all want to rush, and I believe we all have our own clocks and times to grow, and things happens for a reason. And the biggest lesson is that if you don't know, if you want to do everything at once and many things, sometimes entrepreneurs, they want to do everything, just do everything and stay on the doors that remains open, because yes, many doors will close, but you stay on the doors that remains open. But get out there. And the biggest lesson is, don't compare yourself with others. Compare yourself with who you were before getting out there and getting the courage to be an entrepreneur. Compare yourself with who you were before, not with others, because criticism and comparison is something that it's going to turn you into dust. So it's better to be kind. The biggest lesson I learned is to be kind to myself during the process, because it's gonna get ruthless, the entrepreneurial journey, and it's also an adventure. But if you are there, just make sure that you learn to listen to your needs too.
That is awesome. So, a lot of times people compare themselves to other people. They never compare themselves to their previous self. And I think that's one of the root causes of like misery and suffering in our society today is like we're spending more time comparing ourselves to our neighbors, our friends, our family members, like to everything else. And one of the things that I noticed, right, is since social media came into being, people are always comparing themselves to the best pictures that other people have on social media, not knowing that it's most of the times it's just a front. And it's actually created more depression in society overall because people keep comparing themselves instead of like, no, I'm not going to compare myself to others. I'm going to focus on myself and like be the best version of myself and try to overcome and be better than what I was before. But I don't know, like, what do you think about the social media phenomenon and just people comparing themselves over there?
Well, I have to also agree on that. I believe social media can also turn you into dust, or it can really inspire you. Now, it's about us really selecting who do we follow, right? So that in that moment, artificial intelligence, social media, people you follow, friends, Now the audience start unfollowing everybody that doesn't inspire you, everybody that doesn't add value to your daily life. Because see, the algorithm will start putting out there what you are actually looking for. So take a moment, press pause, and really analyze what is social media giving back to you. So if social media is giving back to you, I don't know, post or things that doesn't inspire you, it's actually a mirror of what you're looking for. So ask yourself, what do you really want the social media to give you? And train the algorithm to inspire you and use it on your favor, on your advantage. And I have three things that I would like to say about that. And this is going to be maybe tough, but look, the cancer of the mind, there is two other C: criticism and compare yourself to others. Stop doing that. Just choose wisely the people you follow. Make sure they inspire you, not drain your energy.
I couldn't agree more. It's not like that. Those are the definitely things that affect people a lot, but they don't realize it, you know? So, yeah. Like, continuing from this, I wanted to know, like, w as a female entrepreneur in Argentina, like, I mean, this is for like women all over the world, but like, what is the greatest challenge you had as an entrepreneur, like over there, and like, how did you overcome it, or what is the process of you overcoming that?
Well, I believe the first challenge was inflation, Cosmos. Inflation, and of course, already being from a third world country, right? Because Argentina is still considered a third world country. So, building our authority and showing people our talent and how competitive we are and how good we are to the world, it was tough. But I think we used inflation in our favor to become more competitive. But at the beginning, it was a huge challenge to show to the world that we are talented, that we are skilled, and my language barrier, right, and cultural barriers. I do businesses in a different way than North America or Europe. So one of the challenges, it was to really understand who was the other one, right? That I was making businesses with. What is the culture like? Do they like cold emails? Do they like me to be, more Latin? I didn't know. So it cost me a couple of clients, I would say, because I was no client in terms of losing clients, but in terms of losing money, right? Because I was too flexible. I was afraid of the self worth being from Latin America. So the challenge was building my self worth and my team self worth.
So I think that kind of resonates with me because I lived in Kuwait for about 15 years and I was born in India. And then when I came to America, like even after a long time after I became a citizen, I had self-worth issue of like, am I good enough like in whatever I do? Because it's just because I was born in a country that's considered third world. So I totally understand where you're coming from in there. But I would like myself and anybody else in the audience to know that your self-worth is independent of whatever nation that you're in because it's based on something that is much more deeper within, right? And like people, like cultures will have superiority complex or inferiority complex, and we should never be affected by that. So I'm
Wow, what a beautiful message you're giving, actually, Cosmos. It is like that. You asked me about the challenges, that's the challenge I got. But along the way, the response, right, is the one that you just said. Self-worth, it doesn't have anything to do with nations or politicians, okay? And that's very well said. I appreciate you saying that.
No, I mean it's just because a lot of times we base our identity on where we are born and like which group we're in or what gender we're in or what nationality we're in. But ultimately, it is independent of that because if you think about it, at some point you're going to die and you're not going to have that identity anymore. You will. either go into the afterlife or you be one with God. And if you believe in reincarnation, you're going to reincarnate, but you'll have a different identity. So ultimately, your self-worth should be independent of these temporary identities and should be from something that is more like your soul, and that is one with God. And God basically is the ultimate highest value person there. So that's something that I would want to tell my audience, and I wanted to discuss that with you as well. So yeah,
Yeah, I really find that very, it adds very, like, it adds value to the audience and to us. That's what I feel. It's adding value to me. Like I'm being the audience here by listening to you as well. I think this is a co-creation when we do a podcast, and it's a beautiful outcome to have as a result and reflection, right? Pain plus reflection equal progress. And where is the progress? Well, self-worth, self-awareness. Take those challenges, right, that I received or I went through being an Argentinian entrepreneur, now being global. Take those challenges to become better version of yourself, not compared to others, better versions of yourself, and build self-worth. Yes, I agree.
totally. So and so there's this other thing I wanted to ask, which is connected to your our conversation regarding pain. So American identity is centered around the pursuit of happiness, right? So from
Mm-hmm.
your perspective, how do you think growing from your pain can ultimately lead to a higher pursuit of happiness in from your perspective?
Well, I believe, pain is a universal experience. It's part of our life. We need to understand that. And pain is not your enemy. And I do invite people, right, to, pursue happiness, but in an unconventional way. Let's see, I will invite them to follow a non-traditional method. I believe happiness, you can reach happiness, I would say serenity better, or prosperity, by following your pain, because by following your pain you got your true callings there many times, right? Self-awareness, self-growth. You have room to reach to new levels of understanding, gain new insights from pain. It brings another perspective. Oh my God, I think pain is really propelling you forward. It's just a matter of changing perception about pain to gain that happiness, because during pain, oh my God, you can become a pearl and shine. You know the oyster, how they are born? Well, by that painful moment of a grain of sand, and then the pressure of the oyster turns that grain of sand into a pearl. So if you want a life without challenges, remember the oyster and the pearl.
That is amazing. I'm really appreciating this conversation. Yeah. But so can you tell me and the audience a little bit more about Mundo Designs and exactly what it does and all of that?
Yes, we are a female lead team. We're all women. We are all equals. I don't have employees. Yes, I'm the owner. I'm the chief empathy officer, right? I'm the one bringing clients. But what we do is we design windows into the souls of people, of companies, authors, website design. We create the brand strategy, the marketing. We also create apps for social good, right? I don't conceive business without the social impact. So we do designs for social good, right? Brand strategy, visual tsunami, healthy visual tsunami of a brand, and we take them to the next level. We make them giant. We make them more human in this AI digital world. You need to become more human. So that's what we do. And we train refugee women and single moms and women to reduce the gender gap. And we love guys. Don't get me wrong, okay? They are helping us. They are becoming more of the yin energy, right? And I'm so happy because of that. And that's what we do. We are global. We work with many companies around there.
That is awesome. So what is different about Mundo Designs in terms of like the design compared to like other companies that from your perspective that do designing?
the emotion of each of the panels, the emotions of the video backgrounds. We can design a website, and if we don't say a word, you can still understand because of the video background. I think that's the difference, the emotion of our designs. The designs that we create are very human and disruptive. Not, we are not for everybody. I know that. We are a little bit disruptive.
No, I can tell from that I've tried like your product and it's amazing. And I would recommend anybody in my audience listening, if they're into website design, to definitely contact you for it because it's pretty awesome.
Well, thank you very much. I partner with women too, and we did that website with another partner, Iron Dog Media, and it was an amazing, duet working for you. And thank you so much for making this podcast happen and having me here, sharing my story to everybody.
No, yeah, for sure. So is there like any project that you're working on right now that you'd want the audience to get a glimpse into?
Yes, of course. We are actually working on a couple of social enterprises projects, right? There is one that is very interesting because it's from Netherlands, okay? And we are building an app for the first offenders that goes to the police station so we can change their mind, right, set right there before they go to the judge, right? So they can choose by using the app, they can reflect. So that's one of the projects. And then we are building many websites and brand strategies for our beautiful people that support us and makes us actually bigger impact in the States. And I love that. I have to really thank the community and the culture for propelling us forward. I believe every day they're becoming, um, more aware of our existence.
That is awesome, so and I always wish you the best in all of that, you know? And so like how can our audience connect with you to get to know more about you and the work that you're doing?
Well, my name is Sol, which means sun, okay, in English. And I'm always saying I'm a click away. They just need to press the yellow button and then the sun will come out. They can contact me via LinkedIn, Sol Alsina. That's the best way, or via my WhatsApp. I really like deep conversations and listen to people's purposes and passion. So LinkedIn, WhatsApp, or my website. It's or email. So I'm in social media.
What is the URL for your website?
It's Mundo, okay, which means world in Spanish. It's Mundaoh at the end because it's human. So it's Mundo slash designs. That's all. .com.
Okay. Okay, that's awesome. So I'm really grateful that you took the time to basically come and be a guest in this interview. And me and the audience have learned so much and just on perspective, especially about the concept of pain, because I think a lot of people need to hear this. Like if you have the right perspective on it, you can change like it basically revolutionizes the way your life is. So I'm really grateful that you took the time and I really appreciate it and I would like you to come back again on the show at a later time.
Absolutely. I enjoy it. Was an exquisite, conversation. Thank you so much. And I really hope that we both add value to the audience. And I'm a click away from for everybody that wants to talk.
Yeah, so I want that's awesome. So I want to conclude this interview by telling my all my fellow extraordinary Americans that hey, look, there's an extraordinary within each and every one of us, and it's not just in America; it's all over the world. And I'll see you guys until next. And it's our duty to awaken and unleash it, of course. So I'll see you guys until next time. Bye for now.
Hey there, everyone. Thank you for watching Extraordinary America. If you like what you see, please do subscribe to our podcast and share it with others. Remember that the best investment that you can make in your lifetime is in your own financial education, for it is knowledge that truly sets you free. Also, remember that your purchasing power is being diluted through inflation, and then the practical thing to do is to protect the loss of your purchasing power by investing in precious metals or the right cryptocurrencies. Also, never forget that you are an extraordinary American. We'll see you in the next episode. Bye for now.